By the late 1970s, China and Vietnam were former allies who had run out of patience for each other. They had fought side by side against the United States, but once the war ended, friendship faded fast. Vietnam leaned toward the Soviet Union, China felt encircled, and old border disputes resurfaced. Revolutionary slogans remained, but trust was gone, replaced by suspicion and simmering rivalry. Vietnam's confidence grew after decades of non-stop warfare. Its army was experienced, disciplined, and very sure of itself. China, meanwhile, worried that Vietnam was becoming the dominant power in Indochina. Beijing also resented Hanoi's close ties to Moscow during the Cold War split. The relationship turned tense, with insults, border incidents, and propaganda slowly replacing polite, comrade language. Everything escalated in Cambodia. In late 1978, Vietnam invaded to overthrow the Khmer Rouge, a genocidal regime backed by China. While many Cambodians welcomed the invasion, Beijing saw it as a direct challenge to Chinese influence. To China's leaders, Vietnam looked ambitious and disrespectful. Deng Xiaoping decided Hanoi needed a lesson, a phrase that rarely ends with homework. In February 1979, Chinese forces crossed into northern Vietnam along several fronts. Hundreds of thousands of troops advanced, expecting a short and sharp campaign. Instead, they ran into stiff resistance from Vietnamese forces who knew the terrain well. Mountains, jungles, and narrow roads slowed everything. Fighting erupted around towns like Lang Son, with heavy artillery and brutal close combat. The war was messy and costly. Both sides relied on old-school tactics, mass infantry attacks, limited coordination, and overwhelming firepower. Supplies were stretched, communication broke down, and casualties mounted quickly. Neither army looked especially modern, and neither gained a clear advantage. The landscape absorbed shells, soldiers dug in, and progress was measured in blood rather than kilometers. After about a month, China announced its objectives had been achieved and began withdrawing. Vietnam declared it had successfully defended its territory. The borders remained almost unchanged, but tens of thousands were dead or wounded. Vietnam stayed in Cambodia, and China quietly reviewed the war's uncomfortable lessons about its own military weaknesses. Strategically, the war solved little. Vietnam occupied Cambodia for another decade. China launched major military reforms afterward. Relations between the two countries stayed cold, marked by distrust and occasional clashes. Despite sharing communist ideology, both sides proved that nationalism and power politics mattered far more than revolutionary brotherhood when interests collided. Today, the 1979 China-Vietnam War is often remembered quietly, overshadowed by larger conflicts. Yet it stands as a sharp reminder that alliances can expire quickly. Former brothers-in-arms fought a short, brutal war, declared victory on both sides, and walked away. History, less impressed, kept score in casualties, ruins, and unresolved tension. If you found this interesting, drop a like and leave a comment. Did you already know about the China-Vietnam War? What do you think about how it ended? I'd love to hear your thoughts.